a couple of minutes before we launch into the Broad Art Advantage, part one in a two-part series. Today's piece taking a look at collection development. We have a number of people logged in, and I know how much everybody loves Zoom. So we're going to give it just another minute or so to allow for any technical difficulties or last-minute troubleshooting. While we wait, we do want to get a little reader's advisory in. It's collection development after all. So if you would, as you mouse down towards the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a Q&A box. If you want to click on Q&A, please share a title with us, either one that you've recently read and enjoyed, or perhaps one that you're about to start that you're excited about. For example, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Reality's been a little too real lately. I'm moving out of adult back into YA. And if anybody's read this, tell me if you think it was good, because I know this is the beginning of a trilogy and I hate to invest if now is not the time. Let's see. Oh, Michelle is reading Normal People by Sally Rooney. I absolutely loved that book and Conversations with Friends. I haven't watched the made for streaming mini-series version yet. Have you had a chance to watch that, Michelle? Oh, and Tom is reading Where the Crawdads Sing. Boy, we love that book. That's the book that just keeps on giving. Fun fact, that was a debut. Probably all of you know this, but many people did not see that one coming. All right, I see Ellery Adams, Miracle Springs Mystery Series. Thank you, always need another mystery series. Emerald Blaze by Alona Andrews. Yeah, that's for those of you who have standing orders or who are about to hear about standing orders, you'll know that author well. Social Media Survival Guide. I bet everybody would need that reference material right now. Let's see, Dear Edward. Oh, Jeanette, that's not one I've read yet. I'm getting some titles also. All right, good choice. Michelle says she's watched the first 2 episodes of the show. Braver than I am. I actually finished both books and I still haven't watched it because I'm just too afraid that the adaptation will disappoint me. Oh, The Silent Patient. Yep. Some heavy hitters. So far, I'm seeing a lot of titles that I can envy or be in awe of your literary reading taste. I sort of wish I hadn't gone first with the YA. I don't see a lot of my standard fare genre fiction in here. We've got some cerebral people joining us today, Julie.
Wonderful.
I know, wouldn't have it any other way. All right, so it's about 3 minutes past. I think we want to go ahead and get started. Once again, hello. We're very happy to have you joining us today. We know many of you are in the process of either reopening or trying to plan for some version of a reopen, whether it's curbside service or some other version of abated public service. Just so you know, we do wish you very, very good luck. These are trying times. We hope everyone is safe and well. And just as a reminder, Broad Art, of course, we're here today from our homes, but we're also in the office. We are in business, back in business as it were, and we're available to help. So please don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything we can assist you with. All right, so for the main event, the Broad Art Advantage. This is our approach to collection development. Before we jump in here with the reason why everybody joined us today, apart from new title discovery, we want to handle a little bit of housekeeping. So if you're wondering why mine is the only voice you're hearing right now, all participants were muted upon entry, not because we don't want to hear your voice. We could all use a little more human interaction these days. We can just really only record one at a time. And we are recording this. So if you have a coworker who was hoping to get to join us for the live event this afternoon and they were unable to make it, just know that anyone who signed up will get an email linking them back to a recorded version of this webinar as well. We're going to look to get it added to the BIBS homepage very soon. So beyond that, I will say that we're also going to try and divide the content as we go. There'll be some natural opportunities for breaks. So we will stop and take questions periodically, but please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A. I will be monitoring that. And that's that introductions. My name's Andy Paluzzian, everybody. I'm the chatterbox who's talked this long and not introduced herself. I'm the library services consultant for the Mid-Atlantic for Brodart. Prior to joining the team in September, I guess that was actually August of 2019. Time flies when you can't get a haircut. I'd worked for New Orleans Public in Louisiana as a librarian, and prior to that, Mid-Continent Public Library in Kansas City for about 8 years. So I feel your pain. And I'll turn it over to my colleague.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie O'Connor, and I am a collection development project librarian at Brodart. A little bit about myself. I've been with Brodart for about coming on 16 years. Went to library school at Wayne State University in Detroit, so a shout out to any fellow warriors out there. But I learned to love libraries as a student worker in college in tech services and then circulation. And when the time came to say, what do you want to do with your lives? I looked back and decided the happiest I was as around books and I want to be a librarian. So that's the short of it. It took many years to get there, but I'm here and I'm so happy to be helping so many libraries around the country. I feel privileged to do that, to just help in any little way. And I help with ongoing collection development, but also opening day collections. I'm almost coming up on 70 projects in the 16 years I've been here. So I haven't said, I'm not going to say I've seen it all, but I've seen a lot, and I can guide, if another library is having difficulty trying to rectify a situation or whatnot, I can give some guidance and say, this is what worked for other libraries and things like that, because I've had the advantage of working with so many. So with that being said, thank you everyone for joining us today to talk about the ongoing collection development side of things, and how Brodart has a variety of products and services to offer to make your jobs easier. So without further ado, and I apologize, how do I make this go? I need one of those social media books. I'm trying to figure out how to make this go move. One moment, please. I can't see. Oh, there we go. There we go. It was just slow. Anyway, so here we are. So Brodart knows libraries. And just to give you a background of our collection development department, which is full of coders to make sure that the information is correct that we get from the publishers and translate it to librarian speak. We have 9 librarians on staff and one that is going to library school as we speak. And with over 300 years combined Brodart and library collection development experience. They are all over the United States, literally from coast to coast, from Washington State to Georgia and Florida. We value expertise more than where you live, and we're so happy to have them on our staff, and they really keep things chugging along with everything that we can offer to you with our services, and especially our selection lists. So I know the challenges of selecting, because I have selected on behalf of libraries, and it's very time consuming, and there are so many titles to consider, and especially when you add in print on demand and self-publishers and all of that fun stuff. You know, the universe is expansive, and we have about 5 million titles on our title file, but 2.7 million have an available or not yet published status. That's a lot to go through. And our tools, which I've listed on the slide, shows the various ways you can access these titles in a meaningful way. So a couple of weeks ago and just last week, my colleagues did a BIBS demonstration and to show BIBS tips and tricks, and as well as where to find some selection lists and how to search and whatnot. At the end of this session, I will go back to Bibs and point out a couple of really important selection lists that I think everyone should know, because we spend a lot of time on them, and it's regarding diversity, STEAM lists, topical lists, like how to use social media, because we're all trying to do that, and how to Zoom and all the new normal things, as well as like the Black Lives Matter movement, epidemics, things like that. So I would like to circle back around to show you a few more things on Bibs. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk about some ongoing services called our Fast Tips Standing Orders, tip selection lists, and we have 2 types of those, and collection builders, which is literally what it means, building a collection that needs some help. So going to Bibs, just as a refresh from last week and the couple weeks ago, we offer, you can tell that it was built by librarians and our wonderful technology team at Brodart, as well as, and it's for librarians. So we have a lot of flexible searching and list building, selection and ordering. It's really user-friendly, and anyone can use it because it's free of charge. You have unlimited users. You don't need to share an ID or anything like that. There's no need for that. Just let us know if you need a new account set up, and we would be happy to do that for you. You can build grids in there, so all your collection codes, item types, branches, quantities, all sorts of things. It's really advantageous to have that available to make everything run smoothly, your selecting run smoothly. You can build and share carts, and it's easy to share to multiple people even. We receive daily inventory updates from the publisher, so you know if hey, they've got this in their warehouse, I really want it, and oh good, it's there, so we should be able to get it. We have mark records and items for EDI ordering, as well as a smart holdings icon, and that's a Z39.50 connection to your catalog. And you can see in the list, in your Bibs list, if there's an H icon, that means it made a match in your catalog, and it's by ISBN. And a lot of people find that to be pretty helpful. So because Brodart works solely with libraries and not in a retail setting, we really stress the importance of library-friendly data. We know that knowing the age ranges are important, and the descriptors, which is another word for type of material, like reprints, short stories, translations. That's important to know when you're selecting a book. What's the Dewey number? We also have LC. Subject headings. We have our homegrown Brodart Tips subject headings, but we also have BISAC, LC, and Sears. We have the publisher annotations, and if reviews are available, we link those to the title. And then we have all sorts of awards, bibliographies like the Wilson catalogs, best of lists, etc., and Brodart sources. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. It's another name for our Silver Tips lists. Those are really important to note if they've been in one of our lists. And then reading programs I know are important for the children's librarians. We have Accelerated Reader, Lexile, and Reading Counts. And just to give you an idea for those who haven't seen a title detail on Bibs, this just shows just a sample from the latest Baby Mouse Tales from the Locker series. And it shows all of that information I just mentioned. And anything that isn't a or it's blue in here is a hyperlink. So if you clicked on the Baby Mouse Tales from the Locker, it would take you to the rest of the titles in that series. If you clicked on the hardcover bind, it would take you to, if there are other binds available, or actually readily available. Well, not readily, they could be out of print, but you would see the alternate binds if you just click on that title. They could be available, they may not be. And then you go down to the subjects, and those are all hyperlinks as well, but you can see like there's the Brodart sources in the middle there with the Brodart's Fresh Reads for Kids tip selections. That's one of our Silver Tips lists, so we selected it for that. And then of course, the Lexile reading level is at the bottom. And then the publisher annotation. This hasn't been reviewed yet, so keep that in mind when I talk about building another selection list called Diamond Tips List. So the hallmark, one of Brodart's hallmark inventions was the layering of lists and standing orders. So it's called layered collection development. And what this is you would take your standing orders, those must-have titles and their popular authors and series forthcoming, because we want to get those pre-pub, and you would let Brodart monitor those for you. So you know, you don't have to wait like, oh, I wonder if that new Baby Mouse title came out, or I wonder if that new Dog Man, Pete the Cat, Fly Guy, all of those. I know I'm doing children's and there's lots of teens and adult as well, but for this example, we're just doing children's. You know, I don't know when they're going to come out. So, and I know I'm going to want it. So Brodart will monitor that for you and actually build the order for you. And then they can give it to you to order, or we can order it on your behalf. But those are off the top. That's the first layer. We absolutely want those. Well, there's a bunch of titles left after that to consider. And that's where we get into selection lists. And in this case, we want selection lists for children's picture books, and we want them for children's fiction. One way to narrow that universe of titles would be to pull review journals. And we have 10 review journals plus the New York Times Book Review. It's a citation, it's not a full review, but we have full text reviews for 10 journals plus online reviews. And we can consolidate those and put them in a selection list. But like you saw with that earlier example, with the Baby Mouse title, it's not reviewed. So not everything gets reviewed. Some other areas, board books don't get typically reviewed, easy readers or early readers, however you say it, large print. So what about those titles? Well, let's do another layer or mix in another layer to this and add in some of those Brodart programs, AKA Silver Tips lists. How about demand from other libraries? What other libraries are buying? Print run, we all know about print run, and that can vary between adult and children's. 100,000 print run for adult fiction is pretty common. You know, that you saw in the example, it was 17,500 for the Baby Mouse title. So there's a big gap in between those, but we recognize that, and we would advise what to use if you chose to use print run in your selection list. And then there's your favorite publishers, subjects, and maybe series and authors that you didn't want to commit to buying as a standing order, but you would like to see in a selection list. So we could add in that as well. So Andy has a good analogy that makes me very hungry when she says it.
I either have a good analogy or I have a reason for dessert. So Julie and I were talking about this, and really every time she would say layered collection development, which does resonate, you know, on a collection development level for me, I would also start thinking about layer cake. Maybe I'm watching a little too much Great British Baking in the evenings with all of this free time that we have in the evenings. But essentially, when I think about this, I can't help it. I go all the way. So the frequent authors and series standing order program, the true serial standing order program called Continuations, which I know Julie's going to get into, I always think of that as the cake. That's the sponge. And the Silver Tips list, which are incredibly well curated lists by our collection development team. They're over 20 programs resulting in hundreds of lists. That's your buttercream icing. And then we do have a few other premium or less regular services. One is called Diamond Tips, which Julie's going to go into good detail about this. But essentially, that takes a lot of that curation effort and it runs it through the filter of your selection criteria. It is something that can be set up based on the way that you would select, right down to the level of preferred journals and review sources. And that can be pushed to you regularly. And then the last that I know we're going to go into more detail, Collection Builder. That's the cherry on top. You know, it's not every month. It's periodic. Maybe you've got to refresh a chunk of your adult nonfiction because you've done some deep weeding by subject and you need to backfill with titles that are current. Or maybe you've just received a grant and all of your effort has to go into the programmatic piece of that grant or the outreach piece of that grant, but you've got to have a collection to back it up as well. So those are things that we can do. And if you weren't hungry for cake, you're welcome. Back to the real stuff, back to collection development. Julie, you can go into more detail.
All right, I will try to focus and not think about, because I think about desserts all the time. So, but I will be strong and get through this and maybe have some cake after. But anyway, so we have, as Andy said, the sponge layer, which is the FAST tips orders. And FAST means frequent authors series tips. And these are your pre-pub automatic orders. And when we would profile for something like this, it is highly customized to whatever authors and series you would like to see. And it's so customized that we can provide these orders to you on a weekly, twice monthly, or monthly basis. It's absolutely your choice. There are a couple of ways, actually 3 ways that we can provide these to you. One way is that we go ahead and apply the grids that you've chosen, set up, and go ahead and submit those orders on your behalf in Bibs, or we can notify you and share the orders with you, the fully gridded orders, for you to review, and then you let us know if they're ready to submit through Bibs, and we can do that for you. And then the third way is we can prepare the orders, share them with you, so you can order them via EDI. So, when we share them with you, you would receive an email from one of our plans coordinators letting you know that, hey, they are available and for you to take action on them. So when we would profile together, we would ask about age ranges, classifications, your bind preference, descriptors, what you would want to include or exclude, like would you want movie tie-ins, would you want special editions, anniversary editions, things like that. We would gather all of that information, and then we want to know how pre-pub you would like to go. It's really up to you. We have some that go 6 months, but pre-pub, for example, but publishers change their publishing quite often when they release a title. So, but it's really up to you, however you would want to do it. So 3 months is usually good. And you can include best-selling authors, and at the end of this, I will we'll explore broadartbooks.com together, so you can see a list of our suggested authors and series that you can add to or delete some of them, or you can add something, authors or series of local interest as well. It's not a closed list. So that's basically my point here. Really, the sky is the limit. And again, this is a free service. So that sponge cake layer is off the top. Like we have to have a sponge cake layer. I mean, that's the basis of it. And then the other part of ongoing collection development is the selection list. Again, okay, we've got that off the top. Now what do we do with all of these other titles? How do I manage going through millions of titles perhaps? And that's where we offer 2 types of selection lists. And the first that I will discuss is the Diamond Tips selection list. And some people say notification list, it's the same. So it's a paid subscription where, again, you can customize whether you would want to receive it weekly, twice monthly, or monthly. And you could do a mix of it too. I have some customers who prefer to have some of their selectors receive lists more frequently than others. Some are fine with receiving it monthly. So it's really up to you. It's not a big change on our part. So again, as with Fast Tips, we customize the age range, classifications, you tell us which binds to include, as well as the descriptors, the publication windows, how far post-pub and pre-pub would you like these to go, Children's titles, for example, the review journals can go pretty far back. There's a really interesting chart that's available on our website that analyzes review journals from the previous year, so 2019, and it shows how far pre-pub and post-pub these review journals go. And some of it's pretty surprising. There's some Kirkus titles I've seen that can be like 10 years old and they just now reviewed them. So that's something that we would want to talk about. You can include publishers, subjects. We have the tip subjects. Did you want to include computer books? Is that important to you? Maybe childcare parenting, maybe some test prep. And then we can also include your authors and or series. Again, those that you don't want to have on Fast Tips, but you still would want to see them. And then of course with Diamond Tips, it's the main part of Diamond Tips are these review journals. These are really important. But also that's growing in importance is the public library demand. And it's, again, what other libraries are buying. And again, it's not bookstores, it's libraries. The high print runs and the Brodart programs. So the Silver Tips list, which are those curated monthly lists. So that is one type of selection list. The other type of selection list is Silver Tips. And these are our curated, and this is when I talked about those 9 librarians and our acquisition staff. They are so important to keep this plugging along. They identify some of the best titles for these programs, and they are available to post directly to a BIBS ID. And you can choose some or you can choose all, and they are free. And as you can see, there are over 20 programs, all sorts, as you can see with the graphic, all the way from graphic novels to Spanish. You have urban fiction and Christian fiction and board books, you name it. And we spend a lot of time on these, and we receive a lot of positive feedback on them, on how well constructed they are, and kind of on the money with the, especially with those really popular titles. So when we go to Brodart's website, I can show you a few definitions for some of these in case you were wondering, well, how are these made? So then there's the cherry on top. It's the collection builder. And this is free to Brodart customers and their periodic selection lists for whatever you need. They could be grants, like Andy had mentioned, special projects. We had a library in Georgia recently want to rebuild their Southern literature collection. Well, we've got a couple of librarians that live in Atlanta, and they were really excited to be doing that. So, so we helped with that. Classics Refresh for those, the teen area, perhaps for high school reading. State and regional topics, and lists to match your replacement and weeding calendars. The well-chewed board books are just not good, and they need to be replaced. The greasy, full of flour cookbooks are not good anymore. We need to redo those. So we're here for that. So you just let us know, or I need a list of GED titles or things like that. We're here for you. We have a lot of experts on staff, as I had mentioned, and we'd be happy to help with that. So those are the levels with Fast Tip standing orders, the Silver Tips lists, and the Diamond Tips lists, and then the collection builders. So what does this look like when, it's hard to visualize this, the layering, I suppose. I mean, we can talk about cakes, right? But now I would like to show you an actual example of a profile summary. And this is what we create after we meet and we have all of the Fast Tips and tips running. And right here is, it's the main page and it's our contact information. I do want to mention that we've been told that Brodart is, our collection development team is highly accessible. We not only reach out to you occasionally, and in this case with a diamond tips list and fast tips, we reach out once a year to see if you would like to make any changes. But everyone knows that they can reach out to us at any point in time and let us know if they would like to make some adjustments. So but our contact information is here. And what I like about these profile summaries, not only does it exactly show how the lists are constructed, I think it's really valuable, especially when we have staff turnover, that these are available to review with the new staff. Like, I don't understand how these lists are made. Could you explain this to me? It's all documented somewhere, and we always update it. Even if there's one small change, we update it and we send a new copy for the files, but we also keep it if you just want to reach out and ask for it. So with this sample, the popular ABC library with Jane Doe as the contact, they decided to choose fast tips, diamond tips, and silver tips. So they did a lot of layering here. And with this, it's the adult summary here, and we make a quick note at the top saying that the categories are listed in the order they're created, and ISBNs are blocked from one list and category to another unless otherwise noted. And that's important because the adult fiction, the fast tips, adult fiction authors, and the travel guide series that they wanted is off the top. These will not appear in a subsequent selection list unless you want them to. I've had some libraries that want to repeat them for whatever reason, and that's fine. So we put everything in here. I don't have the list of these authors and travel guides. I didn't think that was necessary for today's discussion, but we do things like book shots, very popular. So we only want a quantity of one. So that changed from what you had said for James Patterson, for example, like you wanted 25 copies of James Patterson, but if it does book shots, we only want one. So we drill down to the very specifics of what you need, because this is essential. This is an order. It's not a list. Fast tips are orders. So fast tips off the top, they won't be seen again on the selection list. Then this library wanted to say, I want 2 fiction diamond tips lists. I want the bestsellers in one list, and then I want reviews and some Brodart sources on another list. So they wanted to take these off the top, so another layer, get these out of the way, and then they want to see everything else for adult fiction. Then there's Urban Fix. Jessie Doe is working on another project, an urban fiction project. So it was here in the adult fiction list, but Jessie wants a separate list. So duplication is allowed between here. So that just gives you an idea of how we dedupe and don't dedupe. We just make a note here. And then we go down to the nonfiction, and it's parenting. So this library wanted to have a parenting list, and they just wanted to pull by, not by review journals or tips programs, but by our childcare and parenting tips subject. So that's another layer. But then with parenting excluded, we want everything else in adult nonfiction. So all of the reviews, some Brodart sources, and then they want high demand from other libraries. They want to see what other libraries are buying. So it's kind of mixing if we want to, use that baking, it's like a sprinkle of this, a dot of this, to make a really customized list. But this library didn't want to have all customized lists. They also just wanted to see our large print tip selections, and that again is free of charge. And when it says pub date range, it's it's still new and pre-pub, as well as our Spanish lists, adult Spanish tips selections, and they wanted to include the teen can go in children's or adult, it's up to you. This library wanted to put it here. And then we go in and we go through all of the descriptors, the types of material you want to include and exclude. So you can see there's a lot of questions asked about this. Children's summary is the same thing. We got the fast tips off the top. They wanted a layer of board books, but then they wanted picture books and readers from certain publishers, so another layer. And then those that came from review journals, but they only wanted to see easy and fiction there. So there's nonfiction as well. They want to put that in the nonfiction. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, and they even want the series made simple. We give that for free. It's SLJ Series Made Simple, and it's a biannual list of covering all the nonfiction series from educational and library specific publishers. A lot of librarians like that, to children's librarians, to see if there are any gaps in the collection. So they wanted to subscribe to that. And then they also wanted our children's Spanish list. So we've got that here. And then we go through the whole thing. What do you want? Reprints? Do you want graphic nonfiction? Where would you want all of this? So that is available to you. Now, quickly going over to our Broad Art Books website, and it's broadartbooks.com. And under library services, this is where you can find where everything lives, all of what we just discussed, the tips, the collection biller, the online lists, those are the BIBS lists, fast tips, and continuations. Continuations is something that I'm not going to dive into today, but it's those true serials, test prep, legal guides, travel guides there as well, and even awards like the Caldecott winners, Newbery winners, Coretta Scott King. You can order those through continuations, but those would be post-pub because they were published before and then they got the honor. So all of these are here. So just to quickly go through these, the tips list, because this is a really nice chart that I'm going to show you. So there's 2 service levels here, all of those that we discussed. And here's the comparison chart. So just if you want to go back and say, what did Julie say? Oh, just go here and it gives you a very brief summary of the differences between the 2 of them. There's a journal comparisons tab. I think that I love it. If you're into stats, I just downloaded these to save time because my computer can sometimes run slow, but we have statistics about the previous year's review journals by audience. And as you can see, it's kind of an eye-opener. It's not surprising that LJ is primarily adult, but, and of course, BCCB would be more children's and teen, and easy and very little adult. But it's just kind of an interesting pie chart of all of the different journals and how they review things. We also have the audience breakdown here. So you can see how many reviews Booklist did in 2019 and how they were broken down by age. And then we do the timeliness. We talked about how like Kirkus has been doing quite a bit of post-pub, quite a bit. And you can see the 6-month plus, they do 506 of their reviews were 6 months or more post-pub. But not surprisingly, LJ Pre-Pub Alert is very pre-pub. So 6 months or more for the most part. So this is an interesting chart. And then we have it broken down in all different ways and classifications. I highly recommend it if you just are like, oh, I wonder, what their criteria is, all these journals. So that is available for you. Going back to the library services, when we, if you are interested in tips and fast tips, there are profiles you can fill out. If it's customized, we usually like to meet with you. So if you do diamond tips and even fast tips, just so we're on the same page. And maybe like if you say, I don't want a descriptor, and then I can say, well, if you exclude it, you may not see certain kinds of titles, like graphic novels and the adaptation and translation descriptors, you might miss out on seeing some graphic novels. So we like to do that together. And you would go into either of those, but here's a fast tips profile, just as an FYI. Again, we would go through this probably together. And then we also have Spanish fast tips, and because it's a different animal, and we have 5 lists orders that are available, but they could also be selection lists if you do not want to have an order created for these every month. And we know that maybe your library doesn't have a lot of money for the Spanish collection. If funding is tight for it, we actually have given an estimate for how much these would cost. The titles would be, like for this one, would be on average $340 a month, just so you can do some budgeting. And then again, and this is a Spanish Fast Tips profile. Again, it's very short. For the, if you wanted to sign up for Fast Tips, I mentioned our recommendation lists, and let me go back here and show you where these lists. So you go into Fast Tips, and then you can download our author list, our authors and series listings. I already have one downloaded here. Oh, and as you can see at the bottom here, there's a Spanish Fast Tips. It's the same profile. And these are just suggestions. This is a children's. We try to update these once a year, but it gives author rankings of our most popular authors, as you can see. And then we have our picture book series. And so not only do we give the series name and the publisher, but when they started, the price for the binds that they come in. And then this is a kind of a worksheet. So you could input your branch information here, add more if you'd like, and then your collection code, item type, fund code, and if there's a series cutter you'd want to use. So this is here, and we have them for all of these, as you can see. So that lives there. And then going to the tips.
Julie, just before you jump off of that, I feel like you're right there, and we have a question that kind of relates to that.
Sure.
So I know you went through that pretty quickly, and I think you may have answered the question, but we did have someone ask when they start a new frequent authors in series, when they start a new Fast Tips standing order, whether or not we provided a list of authors for them to work from, or if they had the autonomy to add authors that they were tracking outside of that list, if it could even include things like local authors.
Yes, absolutely. That is just a starting point. Those lists that you see here, just our suggestions based on our demand. So these are Broad Art's most popular authors and series. You don't have to use them, or you can use some of them, but we encourage you. None of these are closed lists. So if you have some authors and series that you don't see listed on here, absolutely feel free to add to them.
Wonderful. And then we had two questions. I know you were getting ready to jump into silver tips, and they relate to that. They were both questions about range and variety, asking about our work that we do with graphic novel collection development and also Spanish, whether or not we had a wide variety. So if anybody wanted to talk about that, maybe even some of your peers in the collection development department.
Yes. To answer the question about the tips profile, so this is on our website. And again, let me back up here. So you go to here, collection development, selection lists, and tips. And then down here, start your profile. And then here would be the tips. But I've already have it downloaded, so I will show it to you here. This is what is included. It's very brief. If they want to, if the library would like to have a little bit more information, like how far pre-pub do you go? What else is included in these? We have that information I could share, but this is just a brief overview of what's in these 20+ programs. So there's that. One of our most popular programs, speaking of graphic novels, is the KidSafe graphic novel, Silver Tips. And our graphic novel expert is Kat Kahn. And she literally looks at these book in hand. They should not be challenged. You should feel comfortable that these are appropriate for that age group. Sometimes she disagrees, Kat disagrees with what the publisher has said based on what she's seeing and her criteria. And that information, actually, if you want to go here, is she explains the selection criteria and the age ranges, because they do differ from what the publisher says and also what review journals say. So I encourage everyone to look at this, and then you can read a little bio about Kat. So for Spanish, We have Jessica Blaker and Narissa Moran are Spanish experts, and they do a lot, like some of those fast tips Spanish orders are some of those are book in hand selections. So they've taken the time to do that, to narrow the universe of titles. It's a much smaller universe than English, but it's still a big universe where sometimes they need to make sure that things are appropriate for a library. There are things that, for example, like dialect, you know, Spanish from Spain is different from Latin American Spanish. They note that information. Maybe something, you know, Americans can be more conservative than Spaniards. And so some of their, or in other Latin American countries, so they make sure that it's appropriate for libraries, that there maybe is no nudity in the children's book. Like it's just, we want to make sure that it's not, that it's absolutely appropriate for a library. And even grammar. So there's a lot of material that comes out, and we want to make sure that the grammar is appropriate for a library as well. That's one of the reasons that you don't see too much of like building guides, construction guides, because they don't have the same standards, like building standards, as the United States. So that would be irresponsible for us to promote a title that, if they have, you know, the construction word is escaping me, but anyway, you know, the measurements and things like that, that is something to consider with Spanish language material. And Narissa and Jessica make sure that everything that we offer is appropriate for libraries. So going to, this is the Silvertips profile, just want to quickly show. And again, we have the, so you don't have to flip back. There's the definitions, very brief. Again, I can provide more in-depth definitions if that would be helpful to you. And then here's the diamond. And this is, I'm not going to go through, but look how long this is. I mean, when I say we customize, we customize. So there's the Silvertips if you wanted to include those. We can include our Fast Tips authors and series if you'd like, publishers. And then we ask, how far pre-pub would you like to go with some of these? Here's our subjects. So we have a lot of questions to ask. And that's why sometimes it's important to maybe just have a phone call or a Zoom meeting to go over everything. Here's the bestseller list and how often do you want it, et cetera, et cetera. One quick thing, so going to lists, I wanted to show, when I talked about that, the schedule for tips and fast tips, there's a schedule here, right here, the tips schedule, and it shows the actual dates that they will be posted, the tips lists. And so you don't receive notifications, an email notification that they've been posted, but just go to this calendar and you can see when the list will be available. And so these are for the Diamond Tips list. It would be the week of, if you did Fast Tips, so it'd be the week of, so next week, Fast Tips monthly runs. So you would get it sometime, that Fast Tips order sometime that week of next week. And then down here are for the Silvertips. So we kind of stagger them a little bit, but at least you would know when they will be there. The descriptors I was talking about, we have the definitions here, just so we're all on the same page, should we profile. So there's that. And then there's a selection list guide here, because for those that joined the BIBS webinars last week, this is the descriptions of each of the lists. Now there are a lot of lists in Hot Topics, for example, but at least you know that that is a up to the moment newsworthy subject. And so if we go there, here under featured lists and Hot Topics, here we go. So we have books for young activists and LGBT, Pride Month, Black Lives Matter, epidemics, working and learning at home that was just posted. All of these, and especially, you know, with authors passing away, we have all of these here. It just goes on and on and on. It's a really great area to find. Maybe if you're trying to do a display or beef up an area, I would highly encourage you to go here. There is the We Need Diverse Books initiative. It's a grassroots organization. We have responded to that. I don't know if anyone went to PLA. It seems like a lifetime ago, but it was only, what, 3-4 months ago, almost 4 months ago. And there was a panel on you know, how to make your collection diverse. And I attended it, and I want to say, just go to Broad Art, because we've been doing this. We've been collecting and organizing diverse books, and we have them, you know, not only for Spanish, but broken down by age ranges, and we even have them for adults. So broken down by fiction and nonfiction. YA Reads for adults is popular as well. One of the things I do want to point out before I wrap this up is early literacy story time. And it's in response to, well, it actually is for, these titles were selected because of the skills and practices created by Every Child Ready to Read, if you're familiar with that. And one of our librarians, who is a former Caldecott committee member, she updates these on, I think, 6-month basis, I believe. So she has all of these organized. So just go here, and it's cumulative. So there might be some older books in here, but that's fine for your story time early literacy collection. So that is, I know I went through a lot, and it's a lot to take in, but I encourage everyone to explore this area here. In, you know, there's Spanish. I didn't even open that up, but it's right here. But it just gives a Mexican bookstore bestsellers. It's kind of like the New York Times bestsellers for Mexico. That is extraordinarily popular. So I encourage everyone to explore that area as well. But oh, I hope everyone is not too hungry for cake or want some cake. But I just want to stress that our team is responsive and accessible, and that's another thing that sets us apart. I hope. You know, we respond within 24 hours. It's usually just a few minutes later because we know it's important to get a response and to help. And because there are over 2.7 million available and not yet published titles, we all could use some help, and that's what we're here for.
Well, and I know we've got, let's see, 7 minutes to go. I want to give a window here for a few more questions in case anybody else has one. If there's anything here you were curious about. I know I did see a question about fees, and I think that it was mentioned, but it does bear restating. When we're talking about standing orders, whether it's fast tips or continuations, there is no fee to set that service up. There's no fee to edit. Certainly our staff will reach out. They try to reach out about once a year for a tune-up, just to make sure that those authors and subjects and series or serials are what they should be for your order going forward. But you can reach out in between as often as you like. We know new staff come online every day, and if you're a new teen selector, you may have a new area of emphasis. You know, you may have spotted that hole in your collection. And so those are ways that we can help you to address that. And yes, of course, there is no fee for that. The same is true for the collection builder. I just want to reiterate also, there was another question. That is a periodic service. So as something pops up, as there's a project, whether it be something like a grant or a, retrospective project related to maybe some weeding or having spotted that hole, that's something that we can generate as we need to. Yeah, and all of that to say, we got about 6 minutes. Julie, I think you've got the controls. Since you're at broadartbooks.com, and 2 URLs, one more time, broadartbooks.com is where we are right now. This is our our homepage, if you will, but also bibs.com. That is the URL for our online collection development and ordering tool. But back to Broad Art Books, if you would. I was just going to point out, kind of in the upper right, there is a link there for Find a Rep. I know we've got some people joining us today who are perhaps new to Broad Art in general. So if you're curious about how to get in touch with us, there's a great map here. And as you mouse over and find your state, you know, for example, Julie is going to shout it out for Michigan. I hear tell she might be calling us from Michigan today. Julie, if you want to go ahead and click on that, you'll see that your library services consultant is Courtney Wolf. So if anyone were to have a question about who to reach out to, we're so happy to talk to you about the services that we have available to collect, you know, to connect you back to our collection development team. This is a way to get in touch with us if you don't already know how. Oh, and Ken to the rescue, by the way, Julie. He noted earlier that we were trying to say codes when when you were discussing like the translation between Spanish from Spain and U.S. translations as it relates to buildings. We were trying to describe like the difference between standard measurements and
building code.
You know, the measurements that they use in the UK and building codes. So thank you, Ken. Ken gets a reference statistic mark for the day. Whether your library is open or not, Ken, you get to report that one back to the state library. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. It just totally escaped me. It was funny. I should also mention that there's a some really good information here with our newsletter, like that Spanish information that I was talking about. I think I wrote an article about the ins and outs of selecting Spanish and how it's very different from English. And then, we're in the archive, but there are other, let me see here. It was very similar to, there's just so much here.
There's a lot of really good content here. Yeah. And you can go back and read this. This really is another free tool.
Mm-hmm. So this goes into like, this is from Jessica Blaker, one of our Spanish experts, and she wrote an article, and I wrote one like a year before, kind of covering the same things, but it was how, you know, with Spanish, you don't want to say, I only want new titles, because some translations take time, especially from English language. So it could be years until, so when the term new is very different when it comes to Spanish material, you may want to go back a little bit. So it's new to us, but it's not necessarily a new pub date. So there's just, and then the appropriate, the prudish American library. So anyway, so it's just something to take a look at. And we also have a little blog here from librarian to librarian. And just some things off the top of our heads that, you know, just some thoughts. So we have that available as well. But I really like the newsletter. It gives a lot of great information. So just explore, broadartbooks.com and Bibs with the lists have a lot of interesting things for you.
Well, and if I could beg one more favor of you as we wrap up here, Julie, if you would head back over to Bibs and just hit the homepage for me.
Sure.
One more thank you to everyone who joined us today. We really appreciate your time. I know everybody is scrambling right now, so that you make time for this means the world to us. We just want to make sure you're aware of what's out there for you. All of that's to say, we're always looking for ways to improve. So there will be a short survey. Like you, we love our surveys. Be looking for that in your inbox. And if you are somewhat new to Broad Art, or you're somewhat new to Bibs, maybe you're a newer selector, right here on the homepage, Julie has kind of scrolled right to it. We recently had a Bibs 101 and Bibs Masterclass to kind of give people either an introduction, or for those who've been using Bibs for a while and maybe have more administrative roles, options for using the format either of those ways. And then the tips and tricks that you see right at the top, tutorial number 1, that's really, I think, applicable for anybody. You know, if you, it covers the gamut of things that are somewhat beginner all the way to things that are a little more, you know, for the advanced users. So definitely check those out if you've not already, and know that very soon this webinar will be there as well. So if you'd like to share it, you'll have the opportunity. So thank you so much on behalf of Broad Art, on behalf of Julie and myself. We'd like to thank you, and we hope you guys all have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.